What's up, everybody? Welcome to tonight's episode of the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling Podcast. I am your host, the Tutorial Boss Guapo. Sitting beside me, the one, the only, the man, the myth, the legend, and all them other words that come to mind when you see this face, Mike Caldwell.
How you doing?
What's up, man? And joining the two of us is the man who taught Jim Cornette all the dirty words, the one and only Rick Elsie. Rick, what's up, man?
Hey guys, I'm good. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Um, Looking over at the chat, we got J Rev in. What's up, J Rev? Good to see you too, man. Glad you could be here tonight. Finally got all the gremlins controlled. Everything's playing happy now. Like I said in the like I said in the post, the turkey's gone, the tree's up. It's time to do the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast. Before we get started, of course, I want to throw a few thank yous out there. I want to say thank you to Ross and the boys from Labor 12 for our intro outro music. The track's called Head Rush, album's called Monsters. They got all sorts of cool stuff going on, and you can check that out at labor12.com. That's laborxii.com. Want to thank Joe and the guys from American Legacy for our Not Your Average merch. Got our hats, beanies, all sorts of good stuff. J-Reb's 3D printing. You see this piece of awesomeness right here, changing colors and being just high levels of badassery? You can get your very own one of these from the man himself, J-Reb. All you got to do is go to jreb3dprinting.com. He'll get you hooked up. Want to say thank you to Rick, TJ, and everybody associated with heckyeahradio.com. If you happen to miss one of our podcasts, you can catch the audio version by going to heckyeahradio.com, clicking on the Not Your Average Mark button. Want to say thank you to Blind Ambition Studios for all our awesome graphics. TheWrestlingSociety.com. If you head over to that website and click on the podcast room, you can find our podcast there as well. Of course, want to say thank you to the person who makes it all possible, makes everything work. The guy, always working hard. Patrick, thank you very much. And one of the things he's worked really hard on is our website, notyouraverage.mark.com. If you haven't seen it, go check it out.
And click all the things.
And click all the things, all of them. Because we're watching, we'll know. If you don't click them all, we're going to know. So it's been a crazy holiday season. It's you're over here looking like Santa Claus with your blazer and.
Okay.
So.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that because actually I have a gift.
I like gifts. Gifts are cool.
So yes, gray beard, red blazer. So yep, I'm playing Santa Claus tonight.
All right, what we got?
Guapo.
I got a bag. It's got air in it. All right, what we got going on here? Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Got me a Not Your Average Mark shirt. You know what? You're going to have to take over for a minute and tell people about stuff. I'm going to put the shirt on.
Okay. Where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with Survivor Series. There was a lot of buildup to this particular Survivor Series. And I really think that it lived up to the hype.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it was a good show.
Okay.
Before we get started talking about it, hold on just a second. Let me put my new pimpin' shirt on.
Collar's messed up.
Let me fix the collar. Hold on.
There you go.
All right.
And Rick has disappeared.
Wonder who I work for. So it looks like Rick may have dropped out. We'll get him back here as quick as we can. Here he comes. He's coming back right now. Here's the thing about Survivor Series. We did something a little different this time. We decided to try our hand at a watch-along. So if you haven't seen that yet, check out our Twitch, check out our YouTube. Go and watch the Survivor Series watch-along. Tell me what you think. Leave some comments. Let me know what you think. Is it something you'd like to see us do again? Is it something, because Royal Rumble will be here before you know it. So let us know if that's something you'd like to see. But let's go ahead and get into the Survivor Series. We started the night with the women's War Game match. That, of course, being Naomi, Bayley, Bianca Belair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley going up against Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Nia Jax, Candice LeRae, and Tiffany Stratton. I can't with the Tiffany. Oh, I got to give it to her, though. this match was good. Like, it was cool seeing the intros they did, and I questioned why in the world was Naomi wearing a birthday hat, kind of
Little
off to the side of.
party cone.
Well, come to find out that Saturday was actually her birthday. That's why she wore the hat.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Naomi.
Yeah, happy birthday to Naomi. So that's pretty cool. Speaking of people wearing things, Rhea Ripley, the mask that she wore, of course, she broke her, well, she didn't break it. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez broke her orbital bone, so she's been wearing a mask. And the mask she had on at Survivor Series was nothing short of awesome. Okay, we got Rick back. I can see you now, Rick.
Can you hear me?
I can indeed.
Okay.
So we're going
I
over.
had to switch to my phone.
No worries. We're going over the women's war game match. Talking about who's.
Yeah, I heard.
I don't know if you caught this, but found out doing some research that the party hat that Naomi wore was because Saturday was Naomi's birthday.
Yes.
So that was kind of cool.
They sang happy birthday to her at the post-match press conference.
Oh, that's cool. See, I didn't see the post-match stuff.
I always watch the post-match stuff because after Jay and Cody showed up high off their ass and drunk, I'm never going to miss those again, ever.
Yeet.
If you don't know what he's talking about, go back. Just look up Cody and Jay post-show. You'll see all you need to see.
Yeah.
So I really liked this match. I didn't think it was going to be as good as it was, just because it seemed like it was really forced. Like the teams seemed forced. It's like we've got these 5 people who have storylines. Let's take the storylines that they're against and put them in there. But it turned out pretty good. One of the big parts for me, it was cool and not cool all at the same time. So we got the Io Sky garbage can spot, which has become kind of a tradition.
Yes.
But this time it was with a purple and yellow, like it was a decorative trash can and all that. And she did the what was the moonsault?
It was a moonsault with the trash can on.
Now here's the thing. They had Tiffany Stratton do one as well from the other corner. And I really think that was a mistake because nobody was paying. She does a great moonsault, but nobody was paying attention to her moonsault because everybody was watching Io Sky wearing a trash can doing a moonsault.
I don't even think she actually did a moonsault. I think it was something else. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at Io in the trash can.
My point exactly. But all in all, this was a great match. There was a little bit of misdirection that I thought was good. We had Io Sky in there going crazy with the fire extinguisher, which hid the fact that Rhea Ripley handcuffed Raquel Rodriguez to the ropes in the corner. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Pretty good move.
It was. It was a good move. All in all, at the end of the match, we got to see Rhea Ripley get the pin on Liv Morgan, which was great to push forward their storyline. I enjoyed it. Rick, what do you got?
I liked the match. I was disappointed in the chair shots. I come from a mindset that if you're going to pick up a chair, you swing it. And everybody knows that it's not ballet. And I totally understand not wanting to hurt your coworker. But when you whiff it like that, it doesn't help your case of being a competent worker. And Nia Jax has had a problem for a long time of either being labeled too reckless or being labeled not skilled enough to perform. And since she's come back, I think she's wrestled some of the best matches of her career.
Mm-hmm.
But that performance in War Games up until the time it was, everybody was in, it wasn't clicking for me and it took me out of the match. I did think that the match got better once everybody got in. I think that WWE really needs to take a look at how they present War Games, because since they're not going to do a lot of blood and they don't have a top on the cage and they are going to allow tons of weapons, I would almost wonder if maybe War Games should not wait until everyone is in to start the actual match. If maybe they should add elimination to it or do something, because the old formula with how WCW or with how WWE tries to present their television, sometimes War Games just doesn't connect. And that's the only way I can put it.
I'm going to agree with him on the chair shots and everything else. I mean, pretty much there were a lot of weapon shots that just really disappointed me with this. Personally, I know how to swing. I know how to swing things. There's things that you can do
I've seen
to
it.
create the motion, to create the sound, and not blast somebody's face off. And
Wait a minute. Are you saying chair shots aren't real?
that's not what I'm saying. Let me hit you with a chair, and I'm going to show you how real it is.
Oh, well, let's don't say we did.
Well, they need to hire Ken Shamrock, and he needs to take all of the girls through like a 3-week chair course. And by the time he's done, they'll be taking chair shots straight to the face, and they'll be happy with it. So,
you know. Well, before we go into our next match, looking over at the chat, Mike Petty in there. Mike, we're doing good, man. I'm glad you could be in here. Hope the leg's doing well. We've got Tim May in there saying good to see you guys. Tim, always a pleasure to see you. Thanks for joining us tonight. That takes us to our next match. We had Shinsuke Nakamura taking on the United States champion, LA Knight. Yeah. This was a good match. I absolutely love the retooling of Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance. It's darker. It has a feel to it. It sets a mood for his character, and it does so way better than what he did before, in my opinion. So I'm really, really digging that. It was a good match. It was what you would expect out of this match. The only thing that I didn't. So Nakamura did a back elbow, and he connected a little more than he thought he was going to, which kudos to LA Knight for rolling right along with it. And then he went to do the reverse suplex, and he almost dropped LA Knight on his face. And things like that, it's like, okay, I understand you've been gone for a little bit, Shinsuke, but this is the big, this is a big stage. You can't miss something like that.
yeah, I feel like that match was. I think there was more. I think there's more from these guys, and I think that they were trying to give us enough to justify the title change, but not give us too terribly much, because it was quick. It was quicker than I anticipated that it would be.
It was.
Wasn't quick in a way that it hurt LA Knight at all. But I think that instead of just going out there and having a traditional match, I think that they were giving us a Cliff Notes version, and then maybe it threw Shinsuke off. I don't know. He's used to working longer matches, so maybe this new gimmick is gonna be something that slows him down. I don't know.
Well, this new gimmick of his, very Muda-ish, and I like
Very,
that
yeah.
too. So I'm going to throw this out there, and I want your opinion on this. Lots of rumors after the show that LA Knight went into the show angry, mad because he was losing the title. Me personally, I don't believe that. My personal thoughts on it and what I think we're going to end up seeing is we took the belt off of LA Knight so LA Knight can get moved to Raw when it goes to Netflix, and he can do LA Knight things.
It's a possibility. Wouldn't be bad to have him over there. It would definitely shake some things up, give him some more competition, because honestly, him being where he was, being the United States champion, really didn't do him very many favors, because it limited him to who he could wrestle with.
Mhm.
And it took a guy that was like mega over, and it started that downward fall to it. It wasn't a complete drop, but it was something that it was just a slow downturn the crowd reactions weren't getting as good and everything else. So yes, new coat of paint.
I think that the title win by LA Knight was a moment. It was, for lack of better
Mhm.
terms, and for those that are watching that disagree, all I can do is apologize. But for lack of better terms, it was fan service. It was a chance for the
Mhm.
fans to see him win a belt. Did he need the belt? No. He was just as over without the belt, if not more, than he is with the belt. So I feel like that was a moment in fan service.
Well, hot take here, and I don't care who disagrees with me because they're wrong. Uh, all babyface title wins are fan service.
That's fair.
And babyface title wins are exactly that. They're title wins, and then we move on. No fan pays their money to watch a babyface multiple defend time after time after time after time. Hogan and Cena were anomalies booked by the same guy who had the mentality from his father of the Superman champion, because his father had Bruno and Backlund.
True.
Baby faces, the mold of a babyface champion should be followed like people like Dusty Rhodes. Dusty would chase, win, maybe a month, and he'd lose it back so that he could chase again. Because people pay their money to watch the good guy win. They don't pay their money to watch the good guy dominate. They pay their money to watch the good guy get dominated and come back and win. LA Knight should have lost that title like 3 weeks later.
I can go with that.
That's
Well-
a really good point that he has there, and,
It
and
is.
I mean, they've always said that there's money in the chase.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, faces chase. That's something I've learned from you two. That's
It is. That's the way it's always been. New York was an anomaly territory because it had Superman baby faces that never lost.
true.
Superstar Billy Graham was the longest reigning heel champion for that company until, you know, you get into Roman Reigns, really, because well, CM Punk maybe Punk had Punk had a long reign as a heel, but you
400.
go back through and you look at the heels under Vince McMahon. It's tough to find a heel that had a top title run that lasted longer than a year.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Only one
JBL,
that comes to mind is
maybe
Tripp.
JBL, but that's it. Baby faces chase.
No, I agree. And all right, our next match. I know everybody loved the men's War Games match, but for me, for content and entertainment, our next match was match of the night, and that was our triple threat: Braun Breaker versus Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser for the IC belt. I dug the fact that when Breaker came out, he had on the classic Steiner design, like that's
Yeah.
a good throwback. I dug that.
It's almost arguable. Could that actually have been the actual Steiner gear?
I mean, it's possible. It's
I mean-
definitely possible.
Maybe Scotty's gear. I don't know about Rick's gear.
Yeah, I don't think that would have been Rick's gear. This match had it all. Like we got to see Braun Breaker run the ropes at 23 miles an hour. We got to see Sheamus the moment of the match for me was Ludwig Kaiser being all, I'm a badass, and Sheamus just rising up from behind the barrier where he was thrown into the crowd by Braun Breaker, just rising up behind him, and the look on it was great. I enjoyed every minute. I'm not gonna lie, I was into it. If you go back and you watch the watch along that we did, Sheamus is going for the pin, gets the 1, the 2, the 3's coming down. Ludwig Kaiser pulls Sheamus out, or pulls the ref out of the ring before he can count 3. And I got mad. I was yelling. I was saying things I probably shouldn't have said on a live stream.
I'm just glad you didn't have any macaroni.
The TV would have wore it. No question about it. It was definitely a macaroni moment. That's our hashtag for tonight. Hashtag macaroni moment.
I think they're saving Sheamus's Intercontinental title win potentially for the Netflix debut. I do think that this match showed us that Kaiser has the ability to be a star on his own.
Mhm.
I feel like this was his breakout match. And I just thought the content, you're right. For sheer match content, I think it was match of the night.
It was for me. It was so entertaining, and there was a couple of spots in there I was a little worried that somebody might actually be hurt. Have you noticed that through Raw and even into the PLEs, the corner of the announce table is being used a lot more? Like it's become a thing. The corner of the announce table,
Yeah.
and it was used in this. Like the whole match was great. I really enjoyed it. Match of the night, no question about it. One that everybody was waiting for though was Gunther versus Damian Priest. And before we get into that, I would like to say that I thought it was really cool talking about Ludwig Kaiser standing on his own. That they're even making reference to that in Raw, which we'll get to Raw in a few minutes. But during Raw, Kaiser and Breaker had a little bit of a talk, and Breaker told him straight up, you might want to get out of Gunther's shadow because his stock is. It's like they're
Yeah.
even making reference to it, and I dig that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, and that's good. It's good. I love that they don't leave any stones unturned right now.
you would not be able to tell that Gunther's stock is plummeting by watching his match with Damian Priest. That was just
That was a hell of a match.
raw.
That was a hell of a match. It's been a long time since I've seen Gunther walk out on TV the next day with a noticeable cut on his chest.
Yeah, it was like I said, this was a brawl. This was a fight. One of the things I like is the way they were able to shrink, not in length but in size, shrink Damian Priest's intro and still make it look good. Like they changed it up some. It was a new entrance, and I dug it. I liked it. I think it was good. But the set, the stage set was smaller, so they had to change a few things up. Now, the match was one for the books, no question about it. There was a lot of momentum changes. They beat the hell out of each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is specifically for you, Rick, because I know how much you love the internet, people. So this is.
I know what you're gonna say.
This is something I found from one of the internet people that as soon as I saw it, I said, I got to say this just to get Rick's take. And it's a quote. Anyone who studies any kind of martial arts will know that Priest used the absolute worst way to apply a triangle choke. In fact, it doesn't even qualify as being that hold at all. I think that look says it all, ladies and gentlemen.
These dipshits completely miss the point every time.
Yep.
It's just like all these people that are bitching about the fact that Finn got involved. Do you not watch the show?
Finn told
Did you not hear Finn tell Priest that he would never allow him to win a championship?
Uh-huh.
Just because they stopped having matches for a little bit doesn't mean the program is over. This is now in the next leg of the program. I mean, I get it. The attention span in today's wrestling fan is about that big.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really going to need people to either A, pay attention so that you can understand why this is happening, or just admit that you're so dense that you can't get it. And then please, if you are that dense and you can't get it, please exit stage left, because I don't need you in my fandom. Because I'm so tired of this industry kowtowing to morons. I'm done.
I agree. I agree with you. And my point, should the person who made that comment be watching our show, Priest is not a martial artist. So the fact that he didn't do a martial arts move correctly or in the way that you think it needs to be done, he's not a martial artist. He's a wrestler. Again, though, I was impressed with this match and the way they beat the hell out of each other. Mike, what do you got on this match?
Well, I liked the match. It was a very good, very hard hitting match. Both the guys did really well. They both sold. They both give and take, and there wasn't a whole bunch of standing around saying, "Okay, you hit me, now I'm gonna hit you," kind of crap. Because that drives me insane.
Oh, I get you.
But one of the things that is really tropey, and Rick actually said it on it. You know, this whole "I'm never going to allow you to get a championship." You know, I get the concept, but if you do something different, how about I go out there and I encourage you to win, because I know I can beat your ass.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I think we are definitely, whether it's for a belt or not, we're definitely going to get Damian Priest versus Finn Balor. Like, it's going to be a thing, whether it's for a belt or not. I personally think it will be. I kind of see it playing out where Finn beats Gunther, beats him dirty, however he beats him. He beats Gunther because I have heard some rumors that Gunther may be taking a little bit of time off to rehab something going on with his shoulder. So I could see Finn taking the belt off Gunther, and then Finn and Priest for the title.
It's a possibility.
We've got Eska 1981 says, like them turkeys, saying, "Oh, wrestling is so fake." Well, no shit. Good point, man. Good point. So I enjoyed this match. I don't care what the haters have to say about it. I thought it was good. That does bring us to the match everybody was talking about. And that is the new bloodline versus the OG bloodline, the Timu bloodline, as I like to call them, versus the OG bloodline. The men's War Games match. First rattle out of the box. The first thing you notice is Solo's team, the Timu bloodline, comes out as one unit. They come out together. And we got individual intros for everybody on the OG bloodline. And I love the fact that Punk came out and immediately started poking the bear, or the werewolf as it is. I thought that was great. That was a lot of fun. And seeing all through the match, before either one of them went in, seeing, you know, the side eye like this between Roman Reigns and CM Punk, I loved it. It was great.
Well, one of the things that I enjoyed is the fact that Jay got the last introduction.
I was tripping about that a little bit. I was like, Roman comes out before Jay Uso comes out. It threw me off. I'm not going to lie. I mean, it made sense because Jay was the first one in the match, but
That's what finally clicked for me, because I was wondering to myself, I was like, why are they saving Jay? Why? I mean, I get it. He's super over. But then when I realized, oh, he's the first guy in. Okay, I get it.
see, before I realized it, I said the same thing you did. I was like, wait, what? What are we, huh?
But also, I mean, think of it from this standpoint. Jay's music went on last, so basically Roman took a small back seat to Jay. That probably sold Jay another $5,000 to $6,000 worth of merchandise just that night.
I'm still waiting to get my Yeet glasses.
Oh yeah.
The match itself, awesome. It was everything you hoped it would be, and then some. A couple of things happened during the match that people have asked about. Of course, we had some injuries in the match. Bronson Reed broke his ankle. He had a spot where he came off the top of the cage onto a table for a tsunami and landed his feet, and it broke his ankles, or broke an ankle, and I think sprained the other one. Jimmy doing the Uso splash from the top as well, broke his toe. An injury that some people were concerned about turned out to be just a matter of selling well. Jacob Fatu tripped trying to perform a moonsault, immediately started grabbing at his knee, started working the knee. And he wasn't hurt, but he sold the hell out of it to cover up the trip, and he did a great job of it. And kudos to him for it. That was very professionally done.
Jacob Fatu is very special. And I hope that people realize how big of a star he's going to be.
Oh, no question.
Absolutely. Another cool thing that I noticed, if you look at the women's War Games match, there was not a person that went by that didn't go underneath the ring and find something to bring in. There was a handful of weapons that were brought into the men's War Games match.
One of those being the toolbox for CM Punk.
Well, that one kind of made sense because you have the whole other team staring at you going, all right, come on in. So he had to do something. And it was kind of a callback to, okay, I've done busted Drew McIntyre open with this toolbox. I might as well go ahead and use it again.
He did a good job with it too.
So that one made sense, but there was a lot of the guys that they just went in the ring to fight. And I enjoyed that a whole lot more than seeing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah. After the match, before the end of the match, the tsunami that was going to happen to Roman Reigns. And CM Punk pulled him off the table, got him out of the way. He didn't save him from the move. He saved that man's life. Like, no question about that. So that added another layer to this story. But it was what happened after the match that kind of got to me. You had the OG bloodline, you had the twins, you had Sammy, you had Roman hugging it out. And then everybody left away from Roman, went over to CM Punk, and they all hugged it out. So it's still a him and me kind of feel to it. Mm-hmm. And I don't know, it's happiness with tension. I dug it. Like the storytelling without saying anything, the storytelling that happened in the ring after the match, just chef's kiss. I dug it.
The drama in the men's War Games was on an all-time high. There was lots of soap opera drama, which I love. And I think to Mike's point about the weapons, and this is not meant as a slight at all, because I don't think anybody's going to argue that I am so up with women's wrestling, it's not even funny. But at the same time, I think that the women's own insecurities about War Games, I think they feel like they need the weapons to keep everybody's attention. And I think that's something that they've got to work through, because I don't see anybody telling them, you guys must use weapons. I feel like that's the girls saying, how can we use bells and whistles to add to this? Because it's not really our environment. So I feel like that might be what they're going through.
More sizzle for the steak.
Yeah.
Yes.
Before we get into
and that's because the male fans that don't like women's wrestling are so overly judgmental about it that the women are coming up with ways to try and circumvent that. And that's why you see a lot more interference, a lot more weapons, a lot more bells and whistles in those matches, because they're trying to garner favor from the people that are just going to be negative about it anyway.
Well, and before we give a grade for Survivor Series, a couple of the best moments in that match of the drama that you're talking about. So countdown's going on, CM Punk's ready and he's moving around, and they open the thing and they open the cage door, and Roman Reigns says, no, and sends Sammy out. The look on CM Punk's face when that happened, and the smirk that you got from Roman Reigns, on point. Move forward a little bit. Roman Reigns is fixing to go out, and it looks like he's about to, and then CM Punk just steamrolls past him and goes out. Like it was like watching my boys.
It was great.
It was like watching my sons go at each other. It was great. I loved it. Mm-hmm. All in all, for me, strong A for Survivor Series. I'm not gonna give it an A plus. There were some things that happened that could have been better, but absolutely an A show for me.
Yeah, I agree. Solid A.
I'd say A minus, somewhere in there, because I mean, the stuff that was really good,
Mhm.
and the stuff that was really bad was really bad.
Well, you lose a
Thankfully, the bad
level of grade point for me. I had to hear Tiffy time 3 times. You lose the plus for that.
Look, the content of the show could have been an easy B for me, but I'll give it an A just because I didn't have to hear our truth rap or see him at all. So
Well,
Jeez.
speaking of our truth, we're gonna roll right into Raw. Well, before we do though, one thing about Survivor Series, I can see some changes in the future, and you kind of touched on this to begin with. If you remember, we used to have the Raw versus SmackDown, and then we went into the War Games. I could see some other iteration of it and it becoming a cycle. You know, one year we have Raw versus SmackDown, one year we have War Games, one year we have Raw versus SmackDown War Games. I mean,
I'd like to have a
changing it up.
I'd like to have a couple of years without War Games, honestly. I feel like War Games is going to end up turning into what Hell in the Cell became.
Yeah.
And I don't think that you should have a show where we have to wedge people into a match. That match should be reserved for when things are at their all-time peak and there's nowhere to go. And now we have to do this match. You shouldn't have to have an opportunity to wedge people in, because like that women's War Games, that very easily could have just been a 5-on-5 elimination and told the exact same story. There was no reason at all for that match to be in War Games.
Well,
Agreed.
And I see that maybe the third iteration is, you know, one year we have War Games, next year we have Raw versus SmackDown. Next year we just have a straight out traditional 5-on-5 elimination Survivor Series.
If I was in charge of it, we'd go back to the formula from 1990 and we'd have 5 4-on-4s, and the winning teams would all come together at the end for the grand match of survival. And then if you want to throw Raw and SmackDown into it, you can have, you know, instead of good guys, bad guys, it's Raw and SmackDown, and the winners come into that final match, and whichever brand wins, they get like the first 5 draft picks.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be easy to pull something like that.
I like the having the stakes situation with the Raw versus SmackDown thing, because just having Raw versus SmackDown for bragging rights just really didn't do it for me.
Yeah.
But I agree with Rick. I think that anything that's supposed to be an annual tradition, I mean, you get your Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Okay. Royal Rumble's a thing. And it comes with the greatest prize that you can possibly get. You get to main event WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
So Royal Rumble, okay, I see that one. But the rest of these, let's not trope yourself into something to where you gotta have it. You gotta have this. Oh well, it's November. I guess we're gonna do War Games or whatever. You know, let's
switch it up.
Let's do some stuff to where it builds to it, and then that way it means more.
No, I agree with you. I am going to roll us into Raw though, because I'm looking over at the clock and we still got a lot to cover. So Monday Night Raw was absolutely amazing for me. Had the old school feel. Like it had a few matches in it, lots of promo work, lots of segment work, lots of vignette work, and you know how I feel about that. So I was all about it. The opening of the show, they did a rating, and this is the second highest viewed portion of the show after the show. Like people look up this segment online. This is the second highest one from Monday night. You've got Punk coming out talking about, you know what? I put everything behind me and I know where I'm going. And he points to the invisible WrestleMania sign. And he even goes through the whole thing. Can you see it? Because I can see it. I've been told it's not there all this time, but I can see it. And then Burn It Down hits. Punk says some bad words off the mic. And here comes Seth Rollins. And I love what Seth Rollins did. Instead of getting all rah, 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 you know, right out of the box, cool, calm, collected. You know, I should have knocked you out the minute you came back. And I love that was great. That line by itself, I loved it. So they get their back and forth. I love Punk looking at Seth and saying, you know what? I know where I'm going. I know what I want. And kid, you ain't it. So stay out of my business. And then Sammy and Jay come and break it up. Rollins says something about Jay. Says, all right, that's right, Jay. Go on back to Roman. And Sami Zayn straight up, hey, I know you're mad, but you can't talk to Jey Uso like that. And Rollins just rolls right into it. He says, no, you're right. Jay, my bad. You know, you, Roman, family, they're family. I understand it. What's your excuse? Which takes it straight into him and Sammy and him talking about, you want me to be on your team and help that monster. And Sammy's like, you created that monster. I like it. There was so much reality to it and so much referencing the past because he was right. You know, Seth Rollins did create that monster 10 years ago when he hit him in the back with a chair, broke up the Shield. So
I love that we're here. We're in a place where baby faces are holding other baby faces' feet to the fire. We've never been here before. Baby faces always sweep things under the rug and support each other. Heels can turn face and suddenly we forget everything that they did. We are in an era now where everything means something and no one's getting away with any bullshit.
Which is awesome.
And I love that.
I like the fact that they're referencing history instead of this happened, it's done, we're never going to look at it again. This is a whole new thing. No, we're referencing something that happened 10 years ago. So
very much so.
That opening segment was on point. What'd you think about it?
I agreed. It was a damn good segment. And I did enjoy the fact that it was all baby faces.
The whole thing.
It was all baby faces. Everything had a gray area. Everybody still had a legitimate thing that was going on with it, and it all made sense. So, you know, it kind of defeats the thing where it's like, oh, it has to be baby faces versus heels all the time. No, it doesn't. You can have personal issues. You can have things going around. And, you know, just because I'm a good guy and you're a good guy, we may not get along.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I think that's what made it so good. That takes us into our first match, Damage Control versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. Raquel Rodriguez ran roughshod over Damage Control. That's the best way I can put it. Like, she was just an absolute monster in there. And that, of course, gave her and Liv the win. But when they decide they're going to soften up Io Sky a little bit, here comes Rhea. And this goes back to what I was talking about with the corner of the table. Rhea gets thrown eye first into the corner of the announce table where she's already had a broken face and everything. They're using that a lot more.
They need to put rubber corners on the tables.
They do. I mean, seriously. Because of what went on, of course, Io Sky is going to take on Liv for the women's title on the 14th at Saturday night's main event. That is going to be a hell of a match. And we caught a segment right after that where Finn comes up and tells Gunther, you know what? I think you owe me a title shot because you've faced Damian twice and you've won twice because I helped twice. So for the second time, you owe me a title match. Gunther did the best thing Gunther could do. He looked at Finn and said, I don't owe you nothing. I needed to do this by myself, and you robbed me of that. But this guy, pointing at Dominic Mysterio, this guy, at least he's beaten Damian Priest. So I'm going to go talk to Adam Pearce. And Dom's like, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm just standing there. What I do? And that look was great. And the look that Finn shot Dom afterwards, Dom was like, well, I was just standing here. So I thought that little play was good. You create the heat there. We go from that into the Women's Intercontinental Championship Tournament. Dakota Kai versus Katana Chance versus Shayna Baszler. Here's what I like about this. This did a very good job of showcasing Katana Chance and Dakota Kai without hurting Baszler.
I liked how the match was put together. My hot take, I do not like Dakota Kai as a champion material. She's too small. And there's too many girls in the women's division that should be eating her lunch. And I'm not going to be happy if she ends up being the Intercontinental Champion.
No, I get you. But I will say this. Dakota Kai has worked hard for a very long time to get to this point. So it is good to see her,
And
take a singles run and started off with a really big win.
And she's
So
also
if
had...
doesn't get that title, she has, she's got a win over Chance and Baszler.
That's true. She's also had 4 major injuries in 6 years.
That's a fact also.
Because she's so small, she tries to do big things to overcompensate, and she gets hurt.
Well, that brings us to the number one most watched segment of this, and that is the New Day celebration. 10 years of the New Day Rocks. The video package they did was really well done. I enjoyed it. I thought it was great. All the memorabilia sitting out around the ramp and in the ring. They had the great big box of Booty-O's, all of it. It was all there.
It was all one giant reminder as to why I don't like the New Day.
Yeah, well, well, they start talking and they're like, we love you guys. It's been great to be here for 10 years, which makes this hard to say. And what I'm about to say, I just want you to understand it's not your fault. So everybody knew
they were giving the fans the we're getting a divorce speech, and it's
Mom,
exactly.
Mom and Dad are getting a divorce.
It's not your fault. Well, the music.
As soon as they said "not your fault," I was like, "Oh, it's a divorce. Here we go."
Well, the music hits and out comes Big E for the first time in 4 years on Raw or SmackDown. He's not been on Raw or SmackDown in 4 years. And here he comes. He gets in the ring. He says, you two fighting and all the bickering, it's troubled my soul. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be here every week, and I'm going to be your manager. Place goes nuts. Xavier Woods, to talk about how much of a heel he can be, Xavier Woods took all the air out of the room with one word. He looks at Big E and goes, now?
Yeah.
You want to come back now? And everybody's like, what? Wait, what? From there,
I think there was a group, there was enough fans that were expecting Xavier to go heel that I think what happened next was where the room really had the air let out of it.
Oh, absolutely. Because you get Woods saying, you want to come back now? You've been gone all this time. You left us. And to his credit, Big E says, I broke my neck. And Kofi Kingston.
Big deal.
Kofi Kingston looks at him and says, you broke your neck. So what? Stone Cold broke his neck and he came back. Kurt Angle broke his neck and he came back. Edge broke his neck and he came back. Where have you been? And I'm doing the same thing everybody else is doing. I'm going, what? Because it's Kofi. You can't.
Did you see the tweet? Did you see the tweet from Hurricane Helms?
No.
He tweeted, he was like, I broke my neck and came back too. What's up with that?
I love it. I think the biggest gut punch for me, though, was, and I talked about this, about their infusing reality they're doing their best to blur that line between kayfabe and reality. And it was Xavier Woods looking Big E right in the face and said, "Let's stop teasing everybody and tell the truth. You will never get medically cleared." And the look on
Which
Big
makes me believe he's medically cleared.
He is absolutely medically cleared. There's no way they put that out there and he's not going to be medically cleared. I really like the double heel turn in this. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. The crowd went from being New Day rocks to Big E rocks.
Wow.
It was so good.
They single-handedly, in a 10-minute segment, rejuvenated two people's careers that were absolutely DOA.
Well, and they've been there before, and Big E made mention of it. Said, Kofi, 10 years ago, you were contemplating quitting because you had the fight beat out of you. And Woods, 10 years ago, you and I were on the brink of being fired. So, and they put together the New Day, which looked really odd to begin with, and then it went on to be huge, and then it got stale. And now it's crazy again. So I'm looking forward to where this goes. That I've got to throw this out there for people that are about this. It was pointed out to me by my son that this kind of follows, for those who are fans of Dragon Ball Z, this kind of follows the Majin storyline a little bit, and Kofi actually wears that symbol on his necklace. So I don't know if that's what it is, if they're using that as kind of reference, but I want to throw that out there because I told my son I would.
I don't pay attention to Dragon Ball Z. I don't. I barely have time to watch wrestling, and that's what that's my true love.
Knowing that the New Day are fans of that stuff, I would not surprise me in the least.
So I will. I know I'm gonna hear all about this from the guy when we get done tonight, because he's all about it.
Oh,
dude, I think the moment that I've been the most embarrassed to be a wrestling fan at WrestleMania was the moment that they came out of a tipped over Booty-O's box dressed like Dragon Ball Z characters. I was like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
We just having fun.
Yeah, well, they can go down to Jacksonville, Florida to have fun, because that's all those guys do is just go have fun. They don't actually try to put on a show or anything.
Damn, shots fired.
I figured, whatever, might as well.
There was a lot of backlash amongst some of the wrestling media over this New Day thing. It was like, why is it that these guys are going to be at each other's throats this whole time, and then just because Big E comes out, it's going to shift them one way or another? And I feel like it's like a sibling situation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Me and my brother are going to fight, or have been fighting, and my other sibling comes in and goes, "What the hell are y'all fighting? You stay out of this,"
Yeah.
Well, what it boils down to is both those guys felt a certain way, and I don't think they realized that they had common ground until it was in front of them and they were saying it. Because if you stuck around long enough to watch the end of the segment, they turn to each other and they shake hands.
Yeah, it's just you and me now.
And I think anybody that's getting upset about it is getting upset because they got worked.
Yeah, I could see that.
But again, when you constantly beg, hey, give us something different, and then we do something like that, which is completely out of left field but still cool, you don't have a whole lot to complain about unless you just want to complain.
That's very true. that takes us into our next match. We've got Gunther versus Dominic Mysterio. Ladies and gentlemen, mark your calendars for this date because it'll be the only time you ever hear me say this. But this was a really good match from Dominic Mysterio. Like, I was impressed. It was really good. Of course, you get the low blow and all of that good stuff, but that's you're going to get that in a Dominic Mysterio match. But for a match that puts Gunther against Dominic Mysterio, this was a great match. You mentioned it earlier, Rick, that Gunther come out, still had a cut on his chest from Saturday at Survivor Series. I really thought Dom was going to win after he did the frog splash. I was like, holy hell, they're going to give it to Dom. I cannot believe it. He didn't get it. Gunther gets the win, but a great showing by Dominic Mysterio. I'll never say it again, but I said it this time. Now, here's the thing I liked most about this match. It was after when Finn came out, because how many times do we get these two people get face to face and now we get to wait till next week so they can do something? No. Finn came out in this match, beat the hell out of Gunther, and told Dom, that's how you do it. I hope you learned something. And walked out. He did what? 5 coup de grace? And
That was a lot.
For Wade Barrett, if you're watching, and let's face it, Wade Barrett's watching. Wade Barrett, it's coup de grace. Coup de grace, not coup de grace.
They're from a different country.
I don't care. It's a British guy talking about an Irish guy and a French word.
Waffle, I'm afraid I've got some bad news.
I don't care.
I don't think Wade Barrett is watching.
Wade Barrett, of course Wade Barrett's watching. Why would Wade Barrett? It's the Not Your Average Mark Wrestling podcast. Of course Wade Barrett's watching.
There's a comedian named Eddie Izzard who talks about language barrier between Americans and Britain, or people from Britain. And he says, you say vitamin, we say vitamin. You say leisure, we say leisurier. You say herbs, and we say herbs. Because there's a fucking H in it.
I mean, that takes us, coming out of this match, we go straight into Rick's favorite match, Pete Dunne versus R-Truth. We didn't get it.
It was Pete Dunne.
I mean, the crowd said it was Butch. I don't know what was like. I thought it was supposed to be Pete Dunne. Apparently, Butch came out. I mean, it was a whole thing. With those two meet, it's gonna be bad. The whole crowd chanting Butch, and it was great. I loved it because he was mad as hell. Truth able to grab another quick roll up victory, most dangerous move in wrestling. One thing for sure, this isn't over. And the next time they meet, I'm afraid Pete Dunne is going to break his hands. Break R-Truth's hands, and Rick will cheer.
I'd rather he stomp on his throat and break his larynx so I don't have to hear him talk.
I'm going to need you to calm down there, sir. I will remind you that R-Truth is a national treasure and should be treated as such.
This is why he buries them.
No.
Hello,
Very-
exactly.
not very
I bury him every chance I get. I treat him just like treasure. What are you talking about? I'd like to bury him somewhere and make a map that is very hard to follow.
Esket 1981 clutches pearls. I love it. We get a segment after this where, to be honest, it was Finn Balor. Was it Finn that was being talked to? I don't remember who was being talked to. I think it was Finn was being talked to, and we hear a ruckus in the back, and
People start running.
people start running back there, and Jey Uso has been knocked in the back of the head, and he's hurt. So we get a segment where that goes into commercial. Coming out of commercial, we get Sami Zayn asking Adam Pearce, "Who done it? Who beat up my boy?" Adam Pearce says, "I don't know. We're trying to find that out." He's in the back with medical. We're trying to figure it out. He's like, I know who did it, and I'm gonna go whoop his ass. Which is gonna take us into our next match. But before we do, we also get a segment where Finn Balor is talking to Adam Pearce, says, when do I get my title shot? He's like, you don't do it. I can't get you to defend the title you got. You want me to give you a title shot? Which is a valid point, I might add. He says, you know what? You want a title shot? You're going to get your title shot at Saturday night's main event. Next week, though, we're going to talk about your other title shot. And Finn's like, my other title? What's he talking about? So we're going to get a tag team title defense. And I hope it's against the War Raiders. That's just me. But that does take us into our final match, and that is Sami Zayn versus Seth Rollins. Sami Zayn on fire in this match. I do enjoy watching these two in the ring together because they know each other very well. Seth made a point of that earlier in the night, saying that we've traveled the road, we came up in this business together. So they know each other very well. And you can tell it by the chemistry they have in the ring. Sami just absolutely putting the boots to Rollins. I think the best part of it was when Sami's like, you did this. You attacked Jay. He's like, I don't do that. That's not me. I don't do that. You know that already. And we get Sami distracted. Seth gets the roll up and looks at Sami and says, you got a lot of heart, but you got to start using your head. And Sami did not use his head, but Drew McIntyre did as a football because he came in and claymored him to death. So we did get the return of Drew McIntyre. Didn't say a word, didn't have to, stood there, pulled the hood off, and stared with those steely blue eyes at the camera.
Yep.
And that's how we went off the air.
I mean, wasn't a bad situation.
Yeah.
And Seth is absolutely right. When Seth attacks somebody, Seth always makes sure that there's a camera visible whenever it happens.
Yes. So for me, all in all, this might be the best Raw I've seen all year. Maybe it's the old school feel. Maybe it's the fact that I'm a storyline and vignette kind of guy. Whatever it is, this was A+ work from the WWE, in my opinion.
This was 100% proof of concept for what we talk about all the time. The matches and the moves do not matter in the big scheme of things. They are extras, and what matters is character development, storyline, crowd interaction. That's what wrestling is, and that's what they did on Monday, and it was one of the better shows that I've seen in a long time.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. What do you give it?
I'm going to give it an S.
See, I like it even better. S. First.
I'll give it an A- because of the R-Truth crap, but I'll give it an A-.
Well, as we're talking about minuses, it's time for Notes from the Clown Show. We're going to run through these real quick. Of course, I like to talk about AEW, but I don't call it AEW. It is, of course, the Clown Show because Tony Khan, you are a clown. Shelton Benjamin, finally here. He's finally all elite. The Hurt Syndicate is in place and ready to dominate. Let's have him get beat by Kyle Fletcher. The crowd solidly behind Shelton Benjamin, but we're gonna have Kyle Fletcher beat him.
There are some things. I mean, one, Fletcher had to take the low road to beat him. One, two, they're doing something with Kyle Fletcher. They're trying to push this kid for whatever reason. I have no idea. I mean, other than the fact that he's a really big guy.
In the chat, raise your hand if you've ever heard the name Kyle Fletcher before.
I mean, he just beat the best wrestler in the world.
Self-proclaimed.
They're pushing Kyle Fletcher because he's connected to Will Ospreay, and they're trying to make Will Ospreay happy. And here's what I would love an AEW fan, and I fan's the wrong word, AEW sycophant That's what I want an AEW sycophant to tell me, other than monetarily, how the Hurt Business and Ricochet are in any different position than they were in WWE right now.
They're not. Not at all.
It all boils down to the guy that's pushing the pencil doesn't understand characters, stories. He understands matches.
He has a
That's it.
unique writing style. I'm pretty sure, like when he's writing matches, he has a unique writing style. Some people call it ADHD. I call it a writing style. I mean, we're gonna do this. Ooh, something shiny. We're gonna do this instead.
We need to get the big chief pad and the crayons out.
Yes. Absolutely. Big Chief pad, crayons. As long as he doesn't eat the crayons, we'll be fine. The Dirty Dozen Battle Royal. Don't get me wrong. I love a battle royal. Always have liked battle royals. But Lucy, you got some explaining to do. 2 winners. One of them being Adam Cole, the other one being O'Reilly. I don't remember his first name. Kyle O'Reilly.
Another Kyle.
Yeah, all these damn Kyles. Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole win this thing to see who's going to go against MJF. Now, you tell me, is there any chance at all that Adam Cole doesn't win that match and it ends up being MJF and Adam Cole? That is the feud. That's the feud.
That's true. That's true, but they had an opportunity to do Cole and MJF, and they had Roddy Strong do it. So I'm wondering if Kyle doesn't actually win it and then gets beat by MJF like Roddy Strong did, and we hold off on Adam Cole one more time.
I mean,
So-
maybe, but I don't.
But who knows? That's the thing. Whatever they do, it's not going to matter because no one cares. AEW is as cold as ice. This was the second week that they've been under 600,000. NXT had its lowest rating since early September. First ever low rating like this on the CW, and AEW still lost.
Mm-mm-mm.
That product is cold, cold, cold. And it's not going to change till somebody above Tony Khan says, you're not allowed to write anymore. Because he ain't going to step away.
The only person that can do that is Dad.
Is Papa Khan?
Shad or whoever signed off on their TV deal can say, hey, let's call a spade a spade. Maybe Xavier Woods needs to go over to AEW and tell some more truth. Maybe that's what we need to do. Because here's the deal. I don't believe for 5 seconds that TV deal was earned at all. That TV deal was a sympathy deal. It was a give me, and they gave them something that was a little higher than their previous deal, but not enough to make everybody go, oh my God. But what they did was they gave them a pity deal because there's not a single metric out there. You can look, it's all public record. There is not a single metric out there that justifies AEW getting anything because when that deal started, they were here and now they're here.
No, agreed.
That's it.
So a couple other things to touch on here. Mercedes Moné, enough said.
Ugh.
She tells Renee
The
not to
queen
say
of
Creel's
cringe.
name around her and then proceeds to say it 3 more times herself. So, I mean, Swerve versus Max Caster. Riddle me this, Batman. Was Max Caster being punished for something? Because that is the only way this match makes any sense.
Max Caster is always being punished.
I mean, yeah.
See, this is where I mean, let's be completely honest. I don't watch.
Right.
But if Max Caster is getting jobbed out within 5 minutes with very little to no offense, either he was getting punished or they're about to do something as far as a reset with him.
And I don't feel they can reset him because the Acclaimed is probably the hottest tag team they have right now. Not a great
Well-
tag, don't get me wrong, but it's probably the hottest tag team they have.
Well, they were until they screwed them over, and go ahead and decided to do stuff with the Young Bucks again. That again, a team that nobody cares about. There are 1,000 things to talk about that are awful at AEW, but all you need to know about AEW is their top flight program. The bad guys trying to destroy the show are pseudo Nazis. And the guy that's opposing them lazy kicks your shins while he keeps his hands in his pockets.
That's fair.
What the hell are we doing? Do you honestly see Orange Cassidy coming to save the day at the end of American History X? I don't.
No, not at all. I mean, it would explain the curb stomp, though.
Orange Cassidy is the living embodiment of that guy, that little character from Saturday mornings. This'll date all of us. Saturday morning cartoons, they used to have that commercial with the guy who looked like a little ball of junk that had a long nose and a cane, and he would sing about hankering for a hunk of cheese and talk about pouring orange juice in a tray and putting plastic wrap over it with toothpicks. That's
old at all.
Orange Cassidy is the living embodiment of that.
Well, I can't say I disagree with that. I am going to throw one more thing out there for the notes for the clown show. Brody King in a colorful jacket. Weird. Very weird. I was not prepared for that. I haven't seen him in anything but black in a long time. So the colorful jacket was very weird. But
I think they're preparing for the future without Malachi Black.
oh, absolutely they are. But those are the notes from the clown show to remind everyone that Tony Khan, you, sir, are a clown. We're going to go into a little segment called Moving Forward. Before we do, want to remind everybody, if you're watching right now, if you're listening right now, if you like what you're seeing, you want to see more of it, want to get notifications, want to skip the ads, click all the things. Click the likes, click the subscribes, click the everything. Click all the things. So moving forward, we're going into 2025. So I'm going to lightning round some things past you guys, just kind of see what you think about it. Let's talk about the Royal Rumble. That, of course, happening in February. Who do you want to see debut in the Royal Rumble? We'll start with you, Mike.
I don't necessarily want to see somebody debut, but I would like to see Rusev return.
Okay. Rick, debut. What do you want to see?
If I had to name one, Penta.
Okay. Me, I will say his name and hope he appears. I want to see Joe Hendry in the Royal Rumble.
I think you're probably going to be very happy. I think he's 100% going to be in the Rumble.
Now, see, you kind of jumped the shark here because the next question is, who do you want to see make a return?
I think I already answered that
You
question.
answered that question. Rick, who do you want to see make a return?
I want to see him stack the women's Rumble with returns. I want to see Becky, Charlotte, Carmella, Alexa, Shotzi. I want to see all of them.
I'd be all right with that. Get Asuka back and yeah.
Yeah, all of them. Everybody that's hurt. And yeah, I feel like because the women's War Games was kind of lukewarm with like the work and people are bitching about it, I feel like they are really going to try and make the women's Rumble top tier.
And I hope that they do. Next question. How does Cena factor into the Royal Rumble?
He's going to be there.
In fact, he is. It's the very
That's
last
it.
one. We may not see him, but he will be there.
I'm putting money on it right now. I'm putting money on it. Cena makes it to the very end and he loses. And then he wins Elimination Chamber and he faces Gunther for the title and he wins his 16th, the 17th World Championship at WrestleMania from Gunther.
Okay. What do you see Cena doing in the Rumble?
I see him putting somebody over.
As do I. I see maybe the last 3 or 4 people in there. 2 of those last 4 are going to be John Cena and a returning Randy Orton. And we're going to get the tease, the face-to-face Orton and Cena. Because that's coming. Make no mistake about it. Orton and Cena is coming. Now the big question of it all, who do you want to see win the Rumble?
I have 2.
Don't know.
Randy Orton
Okay.
to get the situation going with him and Cody,
Okay.
or L.A. Knight.
Yeah. Rick, what do you got? Who do you want to see win the Rumble?
I believe that Kevin Owens is beating Cody Rhodes for the title at Saturday night's main event. And I would like to see Cody win the Rumble for a 3rd year in a row and tie Steve Austin as the only person besides Austin to win 3. And I would like to see that be how Cody gets back to the title against KO at WrestleMania.
Okay. Okay. Me personally, and this is going to throw all sorts of craziness out there, I feel like John Cena wins the Rumble.
That's
his
very
swan-
possible.
This
That's
is his
very
swan
possible.
song. I think John Cena wins the Rumble.
It's
Which,
possible.
of course, the winner of the Rumble gets to go on to WrestleMania. So, in our last couple of minutes here, what matches do you think are going to make it there, or you would like to see? What are a couple of matches you'd like to see at WrestleMania this year?
Braun Breaker versus Jacob Fatu.
Yes. That would be a great match. Rick, how about you? What do you want to see at WrestleMania?
I want to see Gunther Cena. I want to see Jade versus Bianca. And I want to see Sammy Kevin.
Yes. I didn't even think about Sammy Kevin. I'd like to see that one too. I want to see Roman Solo. I want to see the culmination of Final Testament and Wyatt 6. And R-Truth needs to be there. There, I said it. Rivalries and storylines going into it. What do you want to see? Similar for me, I'll start that one off. I want to see where the Final Testament Wyatt 6 thing goes. I think that's a storyline that will carry all the way into Mania, if not further.
I would love to see something happen between Kofi and Xavier to get back to them having some animosity. Big E come back, and I would like to see a New Day triple threat at WrestleMania.
I like it. We've got Eska 1981 saying Bronson Reed versus Gunther. That'd be a hell of a match.
That's
I can see
okay.
that. Good call. Good call on that one.
I would love to be able to see. I want to see a good tag team match.
Okay.
I would, Machine Guns versus. I don't even know. Because
Machine Guns versus the Twins? It'd be a good match.
the Twins.
Usos.
Okay. Yeah, that would be a good match.
The Motor City Machine Guns versus the Uso Penitentiary. Come on now.
I've been, you said twins, but
Not the Bellas.
the way, just the way my brain thinks now is they are two separate entities.
Fair.
We now know the difference between Jay and Jimmy.
Yep.
We can tell a difference between Jay and Jimmy. And
Yeet and no yeet.
putting them back in a tag team, it would be a good feeling, but I don't necessarily see it as a permanent situation.
All right. Last question about WrestleMania, and then we're going to wrap up. Is The Rock involved in WrestleMania?
Yes.
I believe he is, yes.
I too believe that he will be, but I have been told that they are planning WrestleMania as though The Rock won't be there.
Which is the exact same story they've told us for 3 years.
Yes, that's why I'm pretty sure he's going to be there. Well, that does bring us to the end of the show. Guys, it's been a pleasure having you on here. It's always fun to talk wrestling with the two of you.
We're all going to nod our head at the same time.
We're all going to nod. Smile away, boys.
It was a good time.
It was. So I want to go around, give everybody a second or two to do final thoughts for the evening. We'll start with you, Mike.
Enjoy wrestling.
Amen.
And do something for somebody else.
Yes. Yes, do. It's that season.
I would love for everyone to enjoy wrestling, but only if you're smart enough to understand why we're watching it.
Valid point. I understand that one as well. I just want you to take in wrestling. Take in independent wrestling. Take in the television wrestling. Take it all in, because there's no better time than right now to be a fan of professional wrestling. If you're a fan of WWE, the storylines are getting better and better by the day. Like, there's people asking if Solo's getting kicked out of the bloodline by Jacob Fatu tomorrow night on SmackDown. Is Charlotte Flair returning tomorrow night on SmackDown? There are questions that are all valid that keep you guessing that there hasn't been a better time in WWE television than right now. If you're an AEW fan, I'm not talking to you. Don't leave me alone. No, I'm just kidding. If you're an AEW fan, if that's what you like, get all in. See what I did there? Get all in with AEW if that's your thing. Independent.
Sure, a broken clock's right twice every day.
Independent wrestling. I can't say enough about independent wrestling, because I'm going to tell you now, your favorite wrestler right now at one point was an independent wrestler. So get out to the shows. If you're in Lubbock, go to Squared Circle Pro, go to BCW, go to South Plains Championship, go to any of them. If you're not here, I guarantee you there is independent wrestling within 50 miles of you. I don't care where you're at. There will be independent wrestling within 50 miles of you, and you will not regret going to see it. So get some wrestling in your life. It will make it better. I do want to say thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. Thank you to everybody who watches, everybody that listens. Please make sure to click all the things. It helps us out. It lets us bring you guys more content. Make sure to look at the Survivor Series watch along. Tell me what you think. Give me some comments. Let me know if that's something you want to do again. If so, this was kind of a test run. If you want to see more of it, we'll absolutely do it. That is going to do it for us tonight. Mike, again, thank you for being on the show. Rick, thank you for being on the show. We're going to have to do this again very soon. We will be back.
I enjoyed it.
We will be back next Thursday to talk all things wrestling. Same Not Your Average Mark time, same Not Your Average Mark channel. Until then, I'm Guapo. That's Mike Caldwell. That's Rick Elsey. And we're Not Your Average Marks. We'll see y'all next Thursday. Yeah.